The skies over the Middle East have witnessed confrontations before: drone incursions, missile volleys, shadow wars fought with proxies and plausible deniability. But what reportedly happened in the airspace above this volatile region in the past 24 hours is something categorically different, something that military analysts, intelligence officials, and foreign policy veterans are describing as an event without modern precedent. Iran claims it has captured an Israeli Air Force pilot. Not just any pilot. The pilot of an F-35, the most advanced stealth fighter jet in the Western arsenal. A platform so classified, so technologically sensitive, that its capture, if confirmed, would send shockwaves not just through Tel Aviv and Tehran, but through Washington, Brussels, Moscow, and Beijing. Let that sink in for a moment. An Israeli F-35, a fifth-generation stealth aircraft that the Pentagon spent over $1 trillion developing, reportedly brought down. Its pilot, an officer of the Israeli Defense Forces, allegedly in Iranian custody tonight. If this is true, we are not simply looking at a battlefield incident. We are looking at a potential inflection point in the history of Middle Eastern conflict, and possibly in the fragile architecture of global security itself. Here is what we know at this hour. Iranian state media, citing military sources within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, announced that following what they describe as a mid-air engagement, a dogfight between Iranian and Israeli aircraft, an Israeli pilot ejected and was subsequently apprehended by Iranian ground forces. The location of this engagement has not been independently verified. Israel, as of this broadcast, has neither confirmed nor denied the incident. A silence that, in the language of military intelligence, speaks volumes. The implications cascade outward almost immediately. The F-35 is not merely a weapons platform. It is a vault of Western military secrets, stealth architecture, avionics software, sensor fusion technology, radar-absorbing materials. Nations like Russia and China have spent decades trying to reverse engineer even fragments of this technology. If Iranian engineers gain access to a downed F-35, the strategic consequences extend far beyond this conflict, far beyond this region. And then there is the human dimension. An Israeli pilot in Iranian custody is not just a prisoner of war. He is a political instrument, a potential bargaining chip in one of the most complex and dangerous diplomatic standoffs in modern history. Tonight, we are going to walk through everything: the timeline, the military mechanics, the strategic stakes, and what the world's leading security analysts are saying about where this could lead. Because this story is not just about two nations locked in a shadow war. It is about whether the rules that have governed conflict in the 21st century still hold, or whether we are watching them unravel in real time. This is the kind of reporting that demands your full attention. If you are watching this channel for the first time, now is the moment to subscribe. Hit that button, because in the hours and days ahead, this story is going to move fast, and you will want to be here when it does. To understand the magnitude of what may have just occurred over Middle Eastern skies, you cannot start with today. You have to go back decades back to a conflict that has never truly been a conflict in the conventional sense. No formal declaration of war, no clear front lines. And yet, a sustained, grinding, extraordinarily dangerous confrontation between two nations that have been locked in existential opposition for nearly half a century: Israel and Iran. Two regional powers, two radically different visions for the future of the Middle East. And between them, one of the most consequential shadow wars in modern geopolitical history. It begins in 1979. The Iranian Revolution transforms a pro-Western monarchy into an Islamic republic under Ayatollah Khomeini. Almost overnight, a country that had been one of Israel's quiet partners in the region becomes its most ideologically committed enemy. Tehran begins funding, arming, and directing proxy forces across the region. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, militia networks stretching from Iraq to Syria to Yemen. The stated goal, repeated by Iranian leadership across 4 decades, the elimination of the Israeli state. Israel, for its part, does not wait passively. Through the late 1980s and 1990s, Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, conducts covert operations targeting Iranian nuclear scientists, weapons procurement networks, and military infrastructure. The operations are rarely acknowledged, the results are consistently significant. Then comes the nuclear dimension. By the mid-2000s, international inspectors begin confirming what Western intelligence agencies had long suspected: Iran is pursuing uranium enrichment capabilities that extend well beyond civilian energy needs. The International Atomic Energy Agency raises alarms. The United Nations imposes sanctions. And Israel, watching a potential existential threat develop in real time, begins preparing contingency options that go far beyond diplomacy. In 2007, in what becomes known as Operation Orchard, Israeli aircraft destroy a suspected Syrian nuclear facility believed to have been built with North Korean assistance and Iranian financing. It is a surgical strike. It is a message, and it is a preview of Israeli willingness to act unilaterally when it perceives a nuclear threshold being crossed. Fast forward to the 2010s, the so-called campaign between the wars, a sustained Israeli air campaign targeting Iranian weapon shipments, missile depots, and military installations across Syria begins shaping the modern battlefield. Hundreds of airstrikes, thousands of munitions. And through it all, a carefully maintained ambiguity. Israel rarely confirming, Iran rarely retaliating directly, both sides operating just below the threshold of open war. That threshold begins to erode after the 7th of October, 2023. Hamas's assault on southern Israel triggers the most devastating conflict Gaza has seen in generations. Iran's fingerprints are visible in the weapons, in the training, in the intelligence architecture behind the attack. Israel responds not just in Gaza, but begins escalating pressure across the entire Iranian-aligned regional network. By 2024, the shadow war goes partially into the light. Iran launches a direct missile and drone attack on Israeli territory for the first time in history. Israel retaliates. Red lines are crossed, redrawn, and crossed again. The rules of engagement, such as they were, begin to feel dangerously obsolete, which brings us to the present moment. Israeli air operations over Iranian-aligned territory have intensified. Iran has upgraded its air defense architecture and, according to multiple intelligence assessments, has deployed advanced fighter aircraft in configuration, suggesting an anticipation of direct aerial confrontation. The dogfight that allegedly resulted in the capture of an Israeli F-35 pilot did not emerge from a vacuum. It emerged from 45 years of escalating hostility, a shadow war that grew too large for the shadows to contain, and a single, catastrophic moment in the sky that may have just changed everything. Section 3, Event Breakdown. No one, 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 no one. In any breaking geopolitical event of this magnitude, the first casualty is often clarity. What we have tonight are two competing narratives, one from Tehran, one from the silence of Tel Aviv, and between them, a contested space filled with partial evidence, conflicting accounts, and unanswered questions that intelligence agencies around the world are racing to resolve. Here is what we can reconstruct with the information currently available. According to Iranian state media and official statements from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Air Force, the incident unfolded during what Iranian officials describe as an unauthorized intrusion by Israeli military aircraft into airspace they were not cleared to operate in. Iranian sources claim that IRGC interceptor aircraft, the specific model has not been officially confirmed, though regional analysts point to the domestically produced Hessa Kausar or the upgraded F-14 Tomcat variant still maintained in the Iranian fleet were scrambled to intercept the Israeli formation. What followed, according to the Iranian account, was a close-range aerial engagement, a dogfight in the most literal sense. Iranian pilots, they claim, maneuvered aggressively, forcing an engagement at visual range where the F-35 stealth advantages are significantly diminished. At some point during this engagement, the Iranian side asserts the Israeli F-35 was either struck by an air-to-air missile or suffered a critical systems failure under combat stress. The pilot ejected. Iranian ground forces located and secured him before any Israeli rescue operation could be mounted. Iranian state television has broadcast what it claims are initial images, though as of this hour, independent verification of those images remains impossible. The IRGC has issued a formal statement describing the pilot's capture as and this language is deliberate, decisive response to Zionist aggression.